Good. I think we're good, George. So this is our first episode of the Producers Hour. We didn't even tell you what the name was, but it's called the Producers Aisle. So pretty much, we want to touch base with like people from the area. That's wherever they're at in their journey, their career, and just touch in and see what you guys are doing, what you have been doing, because obviously you've been producing in your lane at a high level. So that's something that we feel like is dope for the community of Springfield, and just dope to kind of reconnect and chop it up with you. So I guess first question is just tell us about who you are, your name, quick origin story. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. So my name is Khyree, born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts. Went to Central High, graduated from there, played basketball with every star athlete in the city you could think of.
Yeah.
I think I moved away in like 2011, just grinding it out in Atlanta. And then the past 5 years, I've been working heavy in photography and videography, and now I'm getting into directing.
So we're gonna bring it back a little bit because I feel like we all have a connection with like a big piece of like kind of like the basketball landscape or just Springfield, which is new leadership. You know what I mean? It's like it died out. I just learned that it closed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like new leadership, if you didn't go there, you knew somebody that went there, or you wanted to go there at some point. Right. A lot of people just to kind of experience it. But talk about like new leadership for the Springfield community that's gonna be listening to this.
So I went to new leadership in 7th and 8th grade. So like 99, 2000 to like 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Our school was in West Springfield. You know what I mean? Shared a building, but like the population was so small, we were so close knit. Every grade knew each other.
Yeah.
Everybody played sports, mainly basketball, obviously. And personally, I learned a lot, especially from cats like Sef and his brother Salami. And I don't know if he knows that, but like watching them hoop during like lunch break and after school definitely added some stuff to my bag from watching y'all, for real. Yeah.
Nah, that's dope. New leadership. George, what's new leadership? What's your story for new leadership?
See, new leadership, like, you had to be a baller or some type of athletic person. But me, nah, I was behind the cameras. I was doing, like, everything, like, inside of, like, creativity. And, like, I wouldn't knock anything either. Like, we even had a golf program for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked golf, too. So I was like, oh, yeah. But then I was the only member of the golf program. So I was like, dang, I gotta step it up now. Yeah. But new leadership is, like, really, honestly, I didn't appreciate new leadership when I was there, but leaving new leadership and seeing like everybody flourishing is crazy.
Yeah.
Like whenever I talk to somebody, like a part of their journey was like, nah, new leadership was like a really big step for me. And
For
like,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. And I mean, just my story, like I was one of the original people that went to new leadership. You know what I mean? It was only accepting 7th graders, I think, at the time. And I was one of the first class, and I did it all the way through.
Crazy.
Obviously pros and cons, but I think the big thing with new leadership was like, it taught you to deal with FOMO, like missing out on things. You know what I'm saying? Because you wasn't a part of like Central, the Commerce, all that, the side techs, the Putnams,
Right.
the big schools. But, just being that small school and not going to those, it was like, all right, I guess we can do our own thing and still find our own way to
Still be cool.
Still be cool,
Yeah.
exactly. Still be cool, still be known, still make a name for yourself, and not having like that big school attached to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's something that's always stuck with me, just like being, like, you don't have to go with the crowd. You don't have to go with the crowd to kind of make your own lane.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that kind of is something that you guys took from it too, but for me, that's something that I always lived with from there.
Yeah, even like new leadership being so good at basketball, being noticed by the what's it called, the Basketball Hall of Fame, and being introduced into the the Hoop Hall Classic.
Yeah.
Like while it was still a school, we was in the Hoop Hall Classic. No other school in Springfield besides like the bigger schools like Putnam and SciTech doesn't even do it, but Putnam and Central do it because like they're really good at basketball. But like new leadership, the Wildcats was like crazy. They was like out of this league. Like they wasn't messing with us like back in what was that, like 2016, 17 stretch?
Yeah, we had
Crazy.
We had some talent. I know you went. My little sister, Keese.
Yeah.
You was there when she was there. We
For
had
sure.
Joe Ragland.
Yeah, my man Joe.
We had.
Killing it
who
all.
I
else
remember when
we
she
had?
beat the record, yo.
She broke
Yo,
the
we
record.
stormed the court.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
I was there. Yup. Yeah. So I mean, new leadership is like, it's a legend, man. Just the school and everybody that kind of came from there, whether they doing big things or not. But a lot of talent either went to there and graduated or transferred out. But I felt like new leadership was a piece of Springfield. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Even the name, like new leadership, like you are like you a younger guy compared to like people that do what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to explain actually like what exactly you do with the like Bitcoin Classic and everything a little bit.
So that's even another. We connected on the Bitcoin Classic. So pretty much the Bitcoin Classic is it's a traveling basketball tournament where we try to educate people on what Bitcoin is, but we do it in a cool way. We mix in basketball, we mix in music. We had Blake Raps, you know what I'm saying, who's from Springfield.
Blanco, man.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? So we try to tie in all that and then throw on a dope tournament, give people Bitcoin so they're hands-on with it. But it's a dope concept, dope idea, and it's been growing. But I recently did one in Atlanta, and, you know, KP came through with his camera, showed us a lot of love, and, you know, it's just trying to bridge the community wherever you're at. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like Springfield, it has a lot of ties other places, but sometimes it's just building those bridges to those places. So I feel like that's the Bitcoin Classic is doing right now, and I'm gonna keep trying to do it. So
Absolutely. Making those connections, putting us together, like getting me exposure. Like I don't care about everybody else, but he bringing me out, then like he know it's serious.
Right. For sure. So about the A, so like, how did you? When you said you moved there 2011, right? So talk to me about like prior to moving. What was your decision? What was your thought process? What were you doing at that time?
All right. So I graduated Central in 06, and high school wasn't too crazy academically.
Right.
I think coming out of new leadership, having so much structure and going to Central afterwards, I was just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course.
And happy that I didn't have to wear uniforms anymore.
Yeah.
So I took advantage of that.
That's that coming of age.
You know what I mean?
Too, what was you, freshman?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
you
was
trying
13,
to find
14, learning all the ropes, you know what I mean? Learning how to be a city kid. And I was from here, but I wasn't really a city kid. You know what I mean? I was always in like charter schools and Catholic schools and whatnot. So that fostered my creativity, like being in Central, and a little bit of my personality. After graduating, popularity, I wouldn't say it got to my head, but it got kind of taxing.
Yeah.
We all know how Springfield is.
Right.
It's small, and if you're somebody who's kind of doing something, people look at you a certain way, at least back then. You know what I mean? So it's easy to get caught up in BS.
Right.
So I found myself in the wrong spaces sometimes, and one of the last times was in like summer 2010, hanging out on Worthington Street after the club, and I was just like, you know what, I don't need to be here no more.
Yeah.
You know? Fast forward, I ended up playing ball at Stick for a season, and one of my teammates let me stay with him and some of his friends at their crib.
Yeah.
And then being there.
Who was the coach? Was that Shep?
Nah, it was Bestman at the time.
Bestman? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Bestman and Smitty.
Shout out Bestman.
For sure,
Yeah.
OG. But in the midst of me staying with them, I wasn't really outside like that. I was the popular kid going to the clubs and all that. But in the midst of me staying with them, I shut all that down and just kind of looked to find myself. And in doing that, they planned to move to Atlanta. They already knew I went to school for a semester down there, and they just asked me how it was. And they were like, you know, if you ever want to come back, when we get there, you're good. Just so happened, like 4 weeks later, somebody I knew from down there called me with a job offer. So everything just kind of lined up divinely, you know? And I was so on my last wits with this place that I was just like, I'm not coming back, you know? One-way flight, got down there, didn't even accept the job that I flew down there to interview for, you know? So I was a month unemployed, just chilling, one paycheck, you know? So I really thugged it out for, I want to say, like a year until I found what could have been a career in mental health and youth development. So I was working at a group home and therapy facility in Atlanta for like 8 years. And then in that 8 years is when I got introduced to photography.
Right.
I was doing it, but not realizing I was doing anything.
So it was no college or just?
Oh, I did. I went to Stick.
And then,
And then when I transferred, I didn't go to school right away. I didn't go back to school till like 2015.
Got you.
So, but in the midst of that time, now you good. Like social media became a thing, you know, Instagram's booming.
Yeah.
So now I'm taking pictures on my phone and people really liked how I was editing pictures through the Instagram software.
That's
like,
crazy.
I had no formal training
no
with
contrast,
anything, you know what I mean?
Little shadows,
None of that. It was just use this filter, and I was just layering filters to make them look crazy. You know, I coupled that with like a slight graphic design background from high school.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say it had too crazy of an effect until like currently.
Yeah.
But my cousin Chaz, I was just posting iPhone photos on Facebook, and one day in like 2014, he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, bro, you need to stop playing games. Like, what are you doing with these pictures? People need to see this."
Right.
And in my head, I didn't get what he was saying, you know, because everybody I knew as a photographer wasn't like me. It was like an older white guy, you know what I mean? Someone who looked kind of creepy. It wasn't my vibe, you know? So after like 4 or 5 years of being introduced as such and not taking the title, I just decided to buy a camera one day.
What'd you buy?
My first Canon was a Canon Rebel T6. I bought a package off HGTV. What are those?
Did you have a lens? Or was it like the
kit lens?
Kit
like
lens?
18 to 55.
That's crazy.
Nothing crazy. I couldn't shoot at night, which I love to do, and I couldn't do it. I thought I broke my camera.
I had that same camera in college. That's that first camera I had.
That's that camera you see in Costco's or BJ's when you first
right.
walked in.
I bought the whole kit, all of that. You know what I'm saying? And then I went out on my first photo walk. I wouldn't say it was a date, but like a girl had the same camera. Yeah. And we were like, yo, you know, let's learn together.
Oh, that's dope.
And
Sounds like a movie.
Right. But peep, at the end of the day, she told me that my photos sucked and I should stick to iPhone photography.
Wow.
So that day really started the career because I took that as a challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the photo still exists on my Instagram today of her. I don't know if she remembers me. If you're watching this, you know, but
we're gonna clip that just to find it.
But yeah, I took that as a challenge, and then that was 2017, so 2018 first gig, 2023. Past 5-6 years have been nothing but elevation. You know what I mean? Even when I didn't realize
just to speak to that, so like you said, you got the camera, and then obviously there was some hurdles.
Oh,
you know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying? Like so. Yeah. To get to where you at, because that's like, how long have you actually had a camera and been shooting for? How long?
Okay, so I bought the camera spring 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like
actually, it might have been 2018. No, it was 2017. Yes, I bought it for Coachella, and I snuck it into the festival to get a couple shots. I was only able to get it in one day, but that one day led to my first gig.
Yeah.
So I met a girl during the festival. She was from San Francisco, and her mom happened to be the owner of one of the biggest black-owned wineries in the world. Her mom and her aunt. It's called McBride Sisters.
Okay.
So fast forward, I got back to Atlanta a couple weeks later. She's like, "Hey, my mom's in the city and she needs a photographer for the day. Are you available?" Wow. And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was still working 9 to 5 at the group home. I called out like, "Yo, I'm not gonna make it today."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I spent the day with them. Like we going on sets like this and cooking shows and different things, and I'm documenting their day. And like that day is when I knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
That's fire.
For sure.
That's fire, bro. What was I gonna say? So how important is it? Because like everything you're saying to me is like, you put yourself in a position. Like you went to Atlanta. Right. That's number one.
Right.
Right. You know, the bigger market.
Right.
You snuck your camera into Coachella.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You put yourself in position.
Yeah. That's always been my play.
Exactly. And then when the shot came, it was like, all right, yo, I'm dropping everything for this.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like that's super important for people to understand. Like when you're in especially this lane, like that, it's a hard lane to do that in a small area, small
Right.
market, I feel like. So how would you say like your mindset is like for someone coming up, right?
Mhm.
Small town, similar background. What would you kind of this is what you should probably start doing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So people look at Springfield and Atlanta because they look at them different because Atlanta's bigger, right? But you know, when you're coming from the bottom of anything, like it doesn't matter where you at. Like
Yeah.
you have the same background, which is nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The same experience, which is none. So what I did, since nobody knew me in Atlanta, was I would start buying like I would put myself in positions that I wanted to be in, but I was paying to do it. So like I would go to concerts,
Yeah.
I would go to festivals, go to art shows, go to parties, wherever I felt like I wanted to have my pictures later. I just started doing it on my own in the beginning, and not even realizing it. I was building a portfolio, so when the time did come where those opportunities presented themselves, like I already have work in those environments.
Right.
So say somebody hits me up and they're like, "Oh, you know, we need somebody to document this party." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can show you this." Even if the party was just the party at your crib or in your basement, you
Right.
still have photos of somebody having a good time,
Yeah.
and they look good, and you have something to present. So don't look at your situation as nothing, because
Right.
photos specifically speak 1,000 words. You know what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
can interpret it any way you want.
That's true.
You can have your friends fake a party, you know what I'm saying, just to
Right.
get your portfolio up. But for me, like what I did specifically, I think after that McBride sisters situation was I would start going out, like I would go on like Eventbrite,
Yeah.
go on Facebook, not Facebook, but Instagram, and just keep up with the current events going on in the city. You know, if it's sports you're gearing towards, pay attention to sports.
Yeah.
The lifestyle stuff. If there's fashion stuff going on, pay attention to the fashion stuff, and just go.
Yeah.
Just be present. Even if you're not taking pictures, just be present and network and introduce yourself to those people in those spaces,
Right.
and tell them what you do, show them what you do, and that displaying your personality is what's going to get you to come back. The work is secondary, if
For
I'm being
sure.
honest. You know.
For sure.
I wouldn't. Maybe secondary is not the right word. Maybe they're like hand in hand.
Yeah.
But like,
Nah, that's dope.
definitely get out there and put yourself out there first.
So young people right now can do it at a local level.
Yes.
Absolutely. So they don't have to go to Atlanta.
No.
All right, y'all hear that, right?
No.
You hear that? All right.
You see this studio we sitting in. This didn't exist when I was here. So you
Right.
have the resources. You know,
For sure.
like take advantage of it. Introduce yourself to the Georges of Springfield. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Of the world, the Yusefs of the world. You know.
and this is Focus Springfield, by the way, too. We're doing it right here in Springfield. So
For sure.
shout
Yes.
out to them for allowing us to do this. But no, that kind of relates to my story with the Bitcoin Classic.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because I'm sponsored by Cash App,
Fire.
which is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's a tournament that's been around 2 years, going on 3 years, and to have someone like that invest in you and you know put you on their page, their Instagram page, to millions of people. It's like, for me, it was, you know, I mean, I'm always like forward thinking. What can do next? How can I make it better? But looking back at it, it was a situation where I was just online, like looking for companies that sponsored Bitcoin events, and then I came across Cash App,
Fire.
and it was like it was pretty much said, if you are educating inner city community on Bitcoin. I'm like, yo, that's exactly what I'm doing with this tournament. So I reached out to them. I applied for they had a grant at the time. So I applied for the grant. I won the grant. But when I won the grant, I'm like, there's more here. Because I saw that they were doing a lot of things in the Bitcoin space, like trying to be cool, like
Right.
get it to the main market. So I'm like, hey, listen, I'm throwing a tournament at Rucker Park in New York City. You guys should sponsor. So go come back when you have something. I'm in the office saying this. I pulled up my laptop because I was already had my deck, had everything
I already
ready.
got
Was
this.
already doing it.
I was already doing it,
Yeah.
exactly. So showed them the deck, everything, and they were like, oh, brought the marketing team in, brought somebody else in, and then that's how I kind of positioned myself. But I think just always being prepared, having your portfolio,
Right.
you know, that you don't think is anything, but just turn it into something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Be prepared. So I think that's super, Super important,
Sure.
man.
You got me wanting to share a couple stories like that, specifically to let people know
Yeah,
how preparedness can affect you.
for sure.
So, my first story, COVID took my job. You know what I'm saying? I lost the job, I lost the crib, everything.
Wow.
So,
2020.
2020. So
2020
March,
got you.
March
Okay.
of 2020, and that's coming off the back of having like a serious medical injury
Yeah.
the year before, and I had just got back to work for only like 3
So
months.
these are them hurdles
You know
that
what I
we're
mean?
talking about. Yeah.
Right. So, January of 2020, I decided that I'm just gonna put myself in those positions. So I start going to these events, start running into the yachties of the world. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm figuring out like, okay, this is how I have to move to be in these spaces all the time, right? So, that's like January, February, doing all these cool parties, events, and then all for free, by the way, for free.
Yeah.
It's like I
Yeah.
know this is for free, my own
sure.
personal time. So then I ended up moving to California with a friend, and while I'm in California, things just weren't going well. I wasn't finding my footing, but I needed to do something to add to my portfolio to present to the world, like you know what I'm
Right.
saying, like we've been saying. So I hit one of my homegirls. We do a cool little fashion related shoot,
Yeah.
just so I had something with you know so I was more well rounded, parties, events, concerts, models, men and women. You know what I mean? So I sent it to a mentor in Atlanta,
Yep.
and his immediate response was, you know, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm in Cali, what's up? He's like, you need to get to LES. And I'm like, what's LES? And he's like, Lower East Side,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, what's going on out there? He's like, yo, it's Fashion Week, but if you can get here, you should get here. I'm like, all right, cool. So I had to call in a favor, you know what I mean? And luckily that favor worked out. I get to New York, and I had no gigs booked. I just went on a whim. By the time I left New York, I had booked a gig with Kate Spade, and I had a meeting at one of the top modeling agencies in the world.
Wow.
But it wasn't because anybody said anything to anyone about me
Yeah.
or anything like that. I was literally on the corner taking pictures of people like I was pushing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
And
like
then-
old school when you had the CDs.
Right.
People just throwing CDs at you.
Right. So I'm taking photos on the corner like that, snowing out, all that stuff. And I happened to be standing in front of this office building. Somebody came out the office building and were like, hey, what are you doing? I see you got a camera in your hand. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm just taking a couple photos. I didn't know who he was from a hole in the wall. The building had no markings, anything. And he's like, yo, let me see some of your work. Had my laptop and hard drive in my bag. We good to go.
Yep.
Pull it up. He's going through my stuff. He's like, hey, I think you should chill here for the day. You don't know where you at, do you? And I'm like, nah. He's, you know, tells me what next management is. And he starts to introduce me into different agents that coming in for work during the day. This dude's only the building super. He's not even anybody crazy.
Wow.
It's another thing. You never know who you're talking to.
Right.
You know? So I meet 3 agents that day. One of the main ones invites me back the next day for a meeting. And he looks at my work, shows my work to other agents, and he tells me I'm not ready yet. He tells me why I'm not ready yet. And then, you know, he tells me I don't have enough experience on set. I don't know what to do when this breaks or that breaks or somebody doesn't show up, this and the third. And at first I didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we leave the meeting and we're on the elevator leaving the office, and I'm like, I was just prompted to ask him, like, is there anything I need to change? Because I felt like I was losing my opportunity, you know what I mean? Like, I made it to the top floor literally, and now I'm going back down with nothing in my hand. Like, what am I missing? And he's like, no, you're doing everything the right way. You came prepared, your work is fire, it's possibly game-changing. Don't change anything, but do these 3 things. Like, go out, become a PA and learn how to run a set. Take more photos and learn more styles and how to use your camera more, and then work on your editing. And I've been doing those 3 things for the past 3 years, and literally after I walked out the door, that's when I got my first PA gig.
Wow.
No lie, like within 20 minutes. It was kind of crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I just took that same energy that I had walking out that door, and I was like, I'm not gonna let that slip away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna maintain that same confidence and walk with it. And since I've been doing that, everything I needed has been happening.
unfolding.
Yeah.
That's good
amazing.
advice for like any producer, anybody that wants to work in like production. Like finishing on that is good because like, what's the 3 rules again?
Like,
What's
just
the-
be well-rounded, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like, if whatever your craft is, there's 3 major things that you're going to have to, you know what I'm saying, figure out. So,
Like I know you were saying like being a PA is
Yeah,
like one of the
being a PA,
biggest
yeah.
things like you really got to do. Like that is the make it or break it. Like
Yeah.
that's like, all right, I'm a PA.
yeah.
I'm gonna see how everything
What
works.
is a PA for people that don't know what PA stands
A production assistant.
for? Gotcha.
Yeah.
So like, basically, it depends on what department you work in. But if you're working like under like the director or something for like a smaller project, you're doing everything.
Yeah.
You're doing everything.
Gotcha.
Or like if you're working for like a big movie and you have to be a PA for like the fashion department, you're running around getting hangers. You're getting people fitted. You're making sure people are where they're supposed to be. Like you're running.
All the dirty work. So
Yeah.
you really get your hands filthy in like some of the greatest situations.
That's dope.
And you're able to make mistakes without consequences because of your position. So that's the place where you ask all your questions,
Mm-hmm.
place where you fumble, the place where you start and restart, you know what I'm saying, fail, all of that.
Yeah.
And then next is just working on your craft on a personal level, like getting to know your equipment,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to light, learning how to shoot properly, learning there's like there's aspects of shooting that make things simple that you can do consistently, that you don't have to make too many adjustments to your equipment to achieve a overall look. You know what I mean? A consistent overall look. And that's things you have to learn, you know what I mean? Whereas some people like myself, trial and error shooting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're adjusting light every 30 seconds and you don't have to do all that. Like
That's when I found out I wasn't a photographer.
yeah, learn how to adjust when things break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all the things that you learn as a PA.
That's dope.
You know what I mean?
That's dope. Before we wrap it up, right? What's that one photo that you have, and then who's that artist that you feel like kind of put you over the top?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like that one photo, and who's the artist that you work? I know you work with a lot, but just kind of who recently, what's up and coming? Talk to us about that real quick before we.
All right, so I'll say it was a photo of Boosie. No, Boosie was first, but it was a photo of Tusi that elevated the career to another level. I was on set as a PA.
Yep.
This is after everything has been boiling and bubbling. Like, you still have to be a PA, yo.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you can keep your energy up. So
Stay humble.
I'm on the set as a PA. I'm talking with a cinematographer, learning about how to use his camera. And Tusi overhears me talking, and he's like, I have a Canon R5, like bragging about it. And I'm like, oh, you know, who's pulling the trigger? And he's like, nobody. So I put my bid in. I said, you know, I know how to use your camera. What's up? And he brought me the camera. I took 5 photos that day. I edited them, and I sent them to him. Next thing I know, he's like, come on the road with me for 2 weeks. I'm like, cool. The 2 weeks was supposed to be in Europe, and I'm already gassed off that.
Yeah.
I get a phone call from his assistant asking me to help them with an equipment issue. And I'm like, you know, what are y'all filming? What are y'all shooting? He's like, oh, we're rehearsing for Jimmy Fallon, just trying to get some BTS shots. I'm like, oh, where y'all filming at? He's like, in New York. Mind you, I'm in Atlanta. For whatever reason, I was like, if I can get to you in New York, can I shoot your Jimmy Fallon set? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so when is the set? He's like, it's Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. I think this was like 4 or 5 p.m. in Atlanta, Sunday afternoon. I got on the road at like 11 p.m. Sunday
drove?
night. Yeah.
Wow.
Thugged that ride out in one night. Got to New York at like 4:30 in the afternoon. Didn't get to shoot the set because of COVID restrictions. And then when I got to dinner with them later that night, they offered to take me on the road early.
They saw that dedication,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh, yeah,
And they
that
took me on the road
dedication.
for 2 months. So I was traveling the world for like 2 months just taking photos
That's
with
dope,
homie, you know
man.
what I mean?
That's
And
dope.
that led to the magazine article with Boosie,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Where can people follow you? Kind of.
My IG is KP the Nobody, KPTHE, N as in Nancy, B as in boy, D as in dog, and then the letter Y.
Yes, sir.
You know what
And
I'm
this
saying?
is
No vowels.
shout out to my man KP. This is his
coolest.
little coolest nobody shirt. I love it.
Oh, I
love
gotta
the
get me one
saying.
of those.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love what it stands for, man. just the coolest nobody, because it's like inside you. I don't know. You tell what came up with this. Real
Coolest
quick before-
nobody. It started because I'm a very reserved person.
Same here. Same here.
I wouldn't say shy. I just don't like attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, I'd rather just flow through life on my own accord. So I end up on these crazy rooms and I meet all these dope people over and over again, but they don't remember me. Like, you know what I mean? And it's cool. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, people be busy, life happens, but it's dope to me to be like
coolest nobody.
The coolest nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fire.
You know what I mean?
That's fire.
Thank you for taking the time out.
Hey, man,
I
appreciate you,
y'all,
baby.
man. Appreciate
you,
the
bro.
invite for real.
Yeah, so that was that's it, man. The producers out. We got our first guest.
Yes.
George, how you feeling?
I'm feeling like everybody, make sure you tune in to our next episode. I don't know who we having next, but you know, me and Yusuf, we're going to have a good time with him. We're going to have a good time with him. Always, right?
For sure. And if you do want to get on here, just hit us up. DM us. You got
Absolutely.
Sef's View. Reach out to us if you're from Springfield, around this area. We only doing like local producers right now. But if you do, reach out to us. We'll get you on and talk about your journey, man.
Yep. From this area, come from this area originally. Yeah, we Springfield dedicated around here.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna send y'all some people, man.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The
we
motto
need it.
is stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready, y'all.
Yes, sir.
That's how I made it. That's how Seth made it.